Welcome to another episode of Guest Talks, where we talk about all the things related to personal growth, healing journey, and awakening journey. Today, I am joined by Salvija Reiciune, an abuse expert, clinical hypnotherapist, and a modern witch. Welcome, Salvija. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hello.
I'm very excited to have you here today. Just a quick trigger warning, because you're an abuse expert. So just for the viewers, we might be touching upon some heavy topics today. But I'm very excited for this conversation because even though this is a very difficult topic, I know that you're going to bring our viewers some empowerment and some tips how to break free from those abusive situations. So I wonder, how did you choose this line of work? Is there a story behind it? I assume there is. So can you let us know?
Oh, there is a story, and the story starts when I was born one day. Okay, it's not gonna go that long, but yes, it goes back to my childhood. I was born into abusive family. As much as I know, my father was psychopath narcissist mix from what I could detect. And my whole childhood was incredibly abusive, including psychological abuse, physical abuse. I was mentally tortured, for example, starving, then again beating, then not allowing to be slept, being kicked out in the freezing cold, because in Lithuania you used to get like -30. So all of these techniques were used to break my spirit, my mind, so I basically don't ask questions and do what I need to do. At the same time, my father had a lot of guns around, a lot of money. So even if anything would happen to me or my family, no one would question. So I think at a very early age, I understood that this situation is quite serious and how to start to navigate the whole thing. And of course, since I couldn't find any way out, there was no such thing as mental health promotion. There was no internet, there was no Google. Like if you go to library, no one looks for mental health books. I don't even know were there any in Lithuanian. So I started harming myself and clearly thought about killing myself, which I think it was a little bit of a waking call to my mom that something is really wrong, because my brothers were already out. And at that point, me and my mom decided to move away from the house. Now, if anyone has been in active abuse, you know what happens when you decide to move. The hell breaks loose. And we were like 50-50. We didn't know, will we survive? I mean, I already was living every day. I didn't know, will I survive to see another day? But that bit was like, you're going out in the field and you're literally open to fire. And the whole journey was really difficult. Me and my mom sort of kind of supported each other, because at the same time we were fighting, because we were never friends. You don't have friends when you are in an abusive family. And it was just leading step by step, getting out and seeing what can, we do, how we can survive, literally. So once I reached the point that, I healed more or less my abuse trauma, like I was in the relationship at that point, and I looked back and I thought, God, was really hard. It took me at that point, I was calculating around 8 years, and I thought, what a nonsense. And I thought it has to be a better way. It has to be a faster way. And then I looked at the statistics. Typical time that takes people to leave abuse is 5 to 10 years. And then average to heal from abuse, let's say to heal the most deepest wounds, is another 5 to 10 years. And I'm like, this is you calculate around 20 years. And I'm like, this is nonsense, bollocks. There has to be a better way. So I got into the kind of area to help people, if you are in an abusive relationship, to get out as fast as possible and safely. And then if you're already out, how to recover fast and enjoy your life instead of keep bubbling in that, trauma and pain.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, yes. And I forgot to mention, actually, because after me and my mom separated from my father did try to kill me twice, and I had to escape to England. which I'm still keeping underground, like my whole physical space and everything where I stay. I was hunted for quite a few years after, even in England. So it's like when people come to me in regards of abuse, I know what it means and I can understand them very clearly. And if someone has rich abuser, as I say, there is a
Powerful,
specific
yeah.
tactics. Yeah, because like it's not as simple as, oh, I'm gonna leave, call police, and then someone maybe help me. That stuff doesn't work when you deal with high money. Like it doesn't work.
So because I'm assuming, is your situation with your dad resolved now, or because you're outspoken about it right now? So how's that? How
Well, I'm sort of waiting for him to die at some point. I mean, to be very open, yes, that is the closing of the situation, because even up to date, if I go back to Lithuania, I know that he receives a call that I'm back in the country. So for me
Okay.
to completely close the situation, it will be when he is basically dead. And it's not like for me going from revenge point, but this is now when the situation is going to be closed completely, because abusers never let go. There is no such point that they forget, they move on, they focus on something else. No, once you become a victim, like seriously for them, and you break the rules, you take your own power away, it's unacceptable for them. And especially, you know, if you're dealing like high level abusers who had a power and money and, you know, they can bribe people off, this is when it becomes really difficult. Now, not every abuser is like that. Don't worry, people. Like there are some, they are not experienced as that. But the ones who have money and power, this is definitely the case. So for me, I'm just like, I have to be still careful while he's still alive.
Okay. Wow. Well, that is a lot. Thank you for sharing. That is a story that must have been very, very hard for you. But I know that a lot of us find our purpose through our whatever we had to go through, because we had to firsthand find a solution for ourselves. So then we become naturally very passionate about how to help others, because we found the way to help ourselves. So you mentioned that you didn't like the fact that everywhere you looked, the therapy or whatever help that was available out there took too long. I even noticed with my trauma, which there's nothing as hectic, if I may say, as your situation. I did have a call with a Polish psychologist as well, and she did tell me that, you know, it's a complex trauma and we need to go at least a year, every 2 weeks, re-traumatize me, go into those things. So like she kind of painted the picture as well, that I was like, no, thank you very much. And I liked her as a psychologist. I thought like she's really approachable and this and that. But you know, this was like this old school way of therapy. And I was like, no, thank you. I will. And funnily enough, I actually did have a session of RTT with a friend just the next day. So I was like, I'm going to go into this hypno thing and I'll let you know if I need you, but I'm pretty sure I'll find a better way than what you are describing to me. So I know you do RTT as well and clinical hypnotherapy. So maybe let's start there. How would you say hypnotherapy can help with any sort of healing? Not necessarily abuse, but like just reprogramming the mind and finding safety within our bodies.
Yeah, so it's like this was one of the reasons why I decided to train in RTT, because when I started working with clients, I thought like, you know, I know how to get out you from the abuse. I know how to train you, prepare you and everything. I know how to deal with the police courts. But when it came to trauma, I knew what the trauma means. I knew how difficult it is to deal with it at that point, because, well, I spent 7 years in psychotherapy myself. That gone to shit. So I trigger a lot of psychotherapists now and counselors, because I'm just like, that doesn't work with trauma, doesn't it? So yeah, I received quite of a backlash from then, but it comes from my experience and also my clients' experiences. And when I was coming on RTT, so I had hypnotherapy session before, but not RTT. And I thought, oh my God, that stuff is really powerful. And then at that point, I was wondering, you know, can I study it? Do I have enough? Because like the way I graduated, it wasn't anything focused on psychology. And I thought, do I need any school degrees or anything? And then I was following my peers, and then suddenly I get a call from RTT school, and they're like, would you consider being RTT practitioner in the beginning? Because like, this is where you start. And I thought, okay, let's have a conversation. Can I fit the requirements? And I did, and I started studying, and I thought this is absolutely brilliant. And once I started working with my clients, I was like, oh my God, why not everybody trained in this or something similar in modalities? Because what I understood, once we have trauma or anything like complex trauma, just single trauma, some event was traumatic, and clearly we don't go to handle it instantly somewhere, it stays, it bubbles. And the more it stays, the more it bubbles down to subconscious mind. Now, majority of the modalities deal with conscious mind. So now when we're thinking that subconscious mind controls 95% and conscious mind 5%, so you're just like, what's the point starting with modalities that focus on conscious mind? Okay, you do a good session, you go to bed and your subconscious mind, no, let's rewrite the whole program because this is what we have. And then you wake up and I'm like, shit, I feel miserable again. Of course you do, because you focused on here while the problem is here. And this is what I found that hypnotherapy does. You go down into subconscious mind, you pull the issues on that level, you figured it out where and when and why exactly some event or a moment triggered you, create a belief, and then you can deal with it, reframe it, and just say, bye-bye, thank you. It's like, you've done some purpose, but it doesn't really work anymore, doesn't it? And then focus on changing your life. So it's like, when I tell my clients that, it's like, more or less, I can fix the issue within 1-2 sessions. And they're like, what? Because they exactly had what you had. Oh, we need a year or maybe 2 years. And I'm just like, oh my God, someone just shoot me in the place.
Yeah, and we gotta re-traumatize you most likely, because, which is like very like, who wants to do that? Like it's it's just there's new ways. We have evolved, our consciousness evolved, the technique has evolved, the modalities evolved. So it had its place maybe 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, or however long ago, but we've just evolved and we have better ways now to deal with it. And I love that you also promote this, that we can do the deal with trauma much faster, that it doesn't have to be this 2-year, 5-year, 7-year, or God knows how many appointments, and that it needs to be also very sad and very, like kind
painful.
of traumatic again, because like, what is the point of it? Who would even sign up for it if you know that it's just going to be more and more misery? Like you want to, and denial already keeps you in this, like, well, I'm happy anyway. So, like you can just stay in denial instead of going into techniques that can actually help you much, much faster.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you do, so the hypnotherapy that you do, is it, so RTT, maybe you can just briefly say what that is for those that have never heard of this modality.
Well, RTT is rapid transformational therapy, and it's gonna knock your socks off. It's RTT is really powerful. I mean, honestly, because I experienced myself. So RTT is a combination of few modalities. Majority of it is hypnosis. Then we have NLP. Then we have like talking therapy points coming in. So it's like a whole mix of everything to kind of have the tools whenever it needs to go. Because of course, like sessions are a little bit modified based on the client, what client comes. But literally the beauty of it is that you have a pain, the pain is emotional, you're suffering and you want fast relief. This is exactly what it does, but it also fixes the problem. Because, I mean, looking to the simple way, we have a toothache. What do? We rush to the dentist and like we want to get rid of the pain as soon as possible. Give me the fastest like way how we can fix that. When it comes to emotional pain, we're just like, it's fine. Keep stabbing me with the invisible knife. It's like, it's okay. It's fine. It's like, who wants that?
I've handled this before. I'll be okay.
It's like, yeah,
nothing, yeah.
No one, literally no one wants that. So we need to start coming into mentality that like, okay, I have emotional pain. I want to deal with this. 3 years doesn't work for me, keep going and bubbling in that nonsense. What's the fastest way I can do that? And RTT is one of the fastest way. And then you can focus on things that you want. This is when I love my clients do RTT session. And then like some veil opens on their language, on their behavior, on the things that they do, on their life itself. And that this is when I love to do coaching and mentoring with them, changing their life for the better instead of, oh, sit down, let's talk about your problem.
Exactly, because it's one thing, yeah, when we go to therapy, we focus on the past so much, but what do we do with the present? What do we do with the future? How can we empower ourselves to even envision a better life for ourselves, right? Like I only a few years ago started dreaming bigger and actually, you know, thinking of something like, you know, what I can do. Like I was always just, I thought I have dreams, but it was always very like limited anyway to the extent that I was able to even dream, because I was held back by limitation of my subconscious mind, which at the time obviously I wasn't aware of. Before I go into like your signature technique and method that I want to talk to you about as well, I wanted to ask you a few things on the more subtle ways of abuse, because we know if it's someone is physically violent, then that's like more obvious abuse. But there's so many other ways that people are getting emotionally abused, mentally abused, and they're more subtle. They might be questioning whether there's actually happening to them, or is it just in their mind, or are they sensitive? So what would be the red flags? How can we see what is an emotional abuse, or what are the subtle ways of abuse that we should be aware of and pay attention to?
Yeah, so there are a few main things that abusers focus. And again, tactics of male and female abuser a little bit differs. But what I've noticed common things are money. So for example, if you are encouraged to quit the job and then you are put in the position to ask for allowance, but allowance in regards of you go and meet your friends and you even need to ask money for a coffee. So that is a red flag. You're heavily controlled. Then you're not allowed to see your family freely, or if family comes to you, you notice your partner being incredibly agitated and throwing a tantrum, being like very different or difficult. So again, these are the red flags, because yes, okay, we know with the in-laws you might have problems, but in general, you openly talk about it that, you know, the person is rude or whatever. But this in here, you're not going to see any clear indications. There will not be any conversation. There will not be any indication. It will be just tantrums, being difficult, not willing to talk, not willing to open. And this is when they start to make you feel not good enough. Another thing is gaslighting and also using your problem. So for example, I had a person who lives not too far from me. She had a panic attack, went to the hospital. And what she did, she just sent a wristband. You know, when you check in and you get the wristband. And basically her partner sent everyone a message with the wristband and saying she tried to kill herself. So when I met some people common to us, they know what I do and they know I communicate with that person. And they said, oh, you know, how is she? But, you know, she became don't touch it persona. Do not engage it. So if you start to get treatment from your friends or from family that, you know, is like, something's wrong with you and I don't want to deal with you. Again, this is a red flag. Your partner most likely is going around and doing these things. Then checking your phone in front of you or not in front of you. That's again, a massive red flag. I've seen multiple abusers justifying this as oh, in previous relationship, I was cheated, so I need to make sure everything is okay. Again, point of control. You're not allowed to have your own life. You're not allowed to have your own hobbies. You want to have a hobby, you will see it's going to be interrupted very quickly. Suddenly the abuser needs attention. Suddenly the abuser needs something. Whenever you have a moment for yourself, pay attention to what your partner does. Does your partner allow you to enjoy the moment, or suddenly the hell breaks loose? They have a migraine, they need to go somewhere, they suddenly need you to be at home. It's like some sort of nonsense happens immediately. and your phone can't stop ringing, or if you are with friends, you're constantly receiving calls like, oh, when you're going to come back? Oh my God, I had to tell you this. This is very important, even though it's not. It's like literally random stuff. So these are the things mainly to start noticing as a red flag, but money will be the biggest one. With the abusers, there are two ways. Either they take money away from you and you depend financially, or you will notice that you're paying for everything and the responsibility is put only on you and you're responsible for breadwinning. And if you're thinking of holidays or taking a rest, you will be heavily criticized that you're lazy, you're useless, you're not thinking about family, you're just like basically disgrace and etc. So it's things that you notice, and then once you see the money thing, the rest will be revealed quite easily. And again, a few pointers that I want to share with listeners. If you are in these situations, please do not create tantrums, do not create fights, do not shout at your abuser, even if they are physically not abusive at this point. The screaming and shouting, by my research, created massive risk of being killed or heavily injured. So do not create that. Do not pretend that you're smarter than them. If you're planning to escape or want to leave, please do that in silence, by yourself. Do not even trust your family at this point, even though that sounds crazy. But do not go, and especially do not tell the abuser that, oh, I'm leaving, this is it, like, this is what I'm gonna do. It's like, I've seen women especially like to do that, but men also. Don't do it. Like, these are first mistakes that you do. You inform abuser what you will do, and then they prevent you from doing anything.
They have all the power to stop you from doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I want to ask about narcissists, because this is like a very hot topic these days.
Yes.
Everyone is a narcissist. Everyone throws this word around, I would say, a little bit too much. Yes, I would agree that probably we all have or may have inside of us narcissistic tendencies. But in your opinion, what's your take on this whole trend about narcissists, or what is really a narcissist and how can we recognize them?
So yeah, I agree that the word is thrown way too much. I think we're going into the bullshit of narcissism at this point, because as much as I speak with therapists and they're like, yeah, narcissist this, a client narcissist. And I said, do you have a proof? Do you have actual diagnosis that they are narcissists? No. Well, then you can't say that, because that's a legal liability at this point. So what I encourage always people to say, possibly a narcissist, shows narcissistic traits. So we identify the person behaving this way, but we're not tagging them as narcissists, because this is a heavy title to be tagged with. And the main issues I have here, if a child has been grown with a narcissist, they will mirror a narcissist. Now, are they really a narcissist? No, they're just showing learned behavior. So again, we tagging them, the child, as a narcissist, but they really are not. This is what they learn from the parent, and this is not how true narcissism develops. Lack of understanding how narcissism develops, because narcissism is a defense mechanism. The child has been traumatized heavily in the childhood, and this is how they defend. Now, we have a massive rage towards that instead of understanding how we develop in it. So I've gone, to Facebook groups like abusive, healing from the abuse, narcissistic abuse. And I thought those groups are focusing on understanding, what narcissism is, how to heal from that situation, and how to deal with that, how to make the world better informed, and understanding how do we prevent this. It was literally a hate party of the narcissist. Like, they don't even know is the person truly a narcissist, because abusers do share similar behavior. If you take a sociopath and narcissist, most likely it can be both of them. They overlap. And this is when, yeah, exactly. It's like, because when clients come to me and they share what their clients are behaving, what is the behavior, you don't have usually just narcissism. You have a mix. You have borderline disorder, narcissism. You have sociopath, narcissism, schizophrenic, narcissism. Again, this is what I kind of don't agree throwing the title, because we're misleading where the problem is, because sometimes it can be more mental health also issues, but narcissism is the pops out, because we all know what narcissism is.
Yeah, because that's what
Exactly. Those tests that we go is like, oh my God, like this person is a narcissist. again, when a person is also being in abuse, I probably, if you look at me when I freshly left my father, or I was in a relationship with abusive people, you would tag me as a narcissist at that point, because I was incredibly unstable. I was being very selfish because all I wanted is love. I was incredibly insecure. I wanted everything me, 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 me. And I was having anger issues. I was lashing out on people. So what? People tag me a narcissist. Well, actually, I have a problem of not receiving love, not being acknowledged, not feeling I matter, and literally just being wildly out and scared. So understanding what true narcissism is, I think it's a crucial in the society now. So we don't tag people and write them off. Well, actually it could be something else. As like, I always like to look and test it out. So for me, the true narcissism comes out when you analyze the person for a longer time, and you will notice that you try to speak with them and it goes nowhere. You know, you have a conversation and you express how you feel, and they start speaking. It's like, oh, look, there's a butterfly. Again, doesn't show exactly what it is, but you're just like, something is off. Then they want everything for themselves. So again, if you do something for them, or you know, you want to show a goodwill, or they ask you to do and they're always unhappy, that could be indication. But again, victim mentality people have exactly the same, and they're non-narcissistic. Diminishing is one of the biggest things that narcissism aims to do. Is like to lower your value against theirs. And narcissists love to project their issues onto you. No other abuser does that. No other type does that. But narcissism does. If they have their own insecurities, they will project them on you. So if you notice that the person is stalking and you're just like, but that's you, it could be a good indication that they have those traits. And it's like, what are you dealing with? These are, yeah. And then what else they do? Gaslighting. I think narcissists are the biggest on the gaslighters, because narcissists cannot handle the truth. They cannot handle accusation.
They can't take responsibility for that. Anything can be their fault. Yeah.
Yeah, while other abusers very often don't have that problem, because the problem is not with their ego. Narcissists have problem with their ego. They cannot be like confronted. So again, these indications could help you to understand that you're dealing possibly with a person who has narcissistic traits. But again, just do not tag them. Just decide, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay with them and stay miserable, or just thank you, bye-bye, and go away?
Exactly. Like, I asked all these questions so we can educate a little bit as well. But I think it's important to remember that we cannot change other people. So we should never really stay in relationships because we think we can help them if we know what's wrong with them, or what, you know, where their pain is coming from, because we can really only heal ourselves. And but in those either abusive relationships or toxic relationships, what I've noticed is that, well, you have the guilt, right? You have the guilt of how can I choose myself over this person that I know that this person is in pain and they're just projecting their pain. So how can we flip that and actually choose ourselves? Because I think more often than not, this is the hardest decision, is to actually choose my well-being over someone else's and walk away.
Well, there is I think, misunderstanding of narcissists, because narcissists are not ill, in my opinion. This is a defense mechanism that forms. Every one of us forms defense mechanisms, different ones. Joking, you know, running away, hiding, whatever. These are the mechanisms that helps us somehow to comfort ourselves. Now, person who develop narcissism, you ask them, do you have a problem? No, you have a problem. So how then you can support a person who doesn't have a problem? You can't. It needs to be coming from inside. And yeah, I get the guilt, because I used to be the same way. No, but I need to be there, you know, just in case if they need me. But at the same time, I had a problem of people rescuing. So people pleasing, people rescuing. So I would say, if you feel that way, if you feel that guilt choosing yourself when you're being really miserable, call me, I'm gonna do RTTs. Like, it's literally, you have probably a trauma or belief that's, you know, keeping you in that situation, and it's very difficult for you to choose yourself, because what you've been told, every relationship has their problems. No, you can't leave a person. You
Yeah,
need to
it's
work it
literally
out.
the programming or the things that we were told. And yes, I would agree. It's usually some sort of a worthiness issue
Yeah,
that we have in ourselves. We just did not develop the self-love. We don't have the unconditional love for ourselves. So we still want that validation from another person. And then we end up being in
exactly.
this unhealthy relationships, whether those are friendships or romantic relationships, because it's, or even at work, it's just like this, you know, it can pop up in all the
Like
different
circle.
cycles. Exactly. But really, the cause of it is our own unhappiness with ourselves,
Yeah.
and not knowing our worth and not knowing. So yes, I think you saying that the advice would be to look within and realize and figure out, instead of trying to figure out what is that person and what is their problem, figure out what are you allowing this situation to happen, what are you staying and not walking away, and how can you change that.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Like that.
All right, so let me ask you about your signature body map method. I know you've developed a method to help. Yes, exactly. So I'll leave the floor to you. Tell me all about it, because I know this is some breakthrough that you've been working on. So I'm dying to hear about it.
So what is our body? Our body is a map, and it's your responsibility to learn to read it. So how it developed during the time, it's, for me, was like I had a lot of diseases, a lot of allergies, a lot of things sort of tagged to me that I need to be done. And one of them was heart surgery. And I was like around 24 years old, and I thought, what, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. I'm way too young to do a heart surgery. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I know, it's like, and then I spoke with my mom, and she, you know, I know a doctor in Lithuania. Would you like to come and try out? He was kinesiologist, but he also was healing with energy. And I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go. After one session, I was literally fine. I was not fainting anymore. My heart was okay. And the problem was that I had a nerve blocked right here. And when I went into his office, I said, I know something is wrong here. And I said to all of the doctors, they just didn't see it. And he said, yeah, I had a wisdom teeth surgery and something got blocked after that. So I was like, can you imagine me having heart surgery at 24 years old? And I was like, right, okay. And at that point, I knew my body is communicating with me. I just didn't quite understand how to translate. So I've gone into a deep research to understand how my body communicates with me and what signals mean. I mean, I'm still learning today because it's like a journey with ourselves, but I'm pretty much, you know, when you see movies and someone has glasses and then the information pops them there, is the same literally for me now, because if I meet a person, I can scan the face expressions, the behavior, tone, then what emotions does it bring inside of me, and it gives all of the report, and then I analyze it. What do I want to do with it? Because, for example, if we meet a person, what do? We're trying to be nice, while in the same time, our body indicates like, no, walk away, something is really off. But we don't listen to that. We're just like, no, but it's okay. You know, I'm just going to have a light chat. And then like, oh, 5 years after, I'm in an abusive relationship. Hello. It's like, or with the,
If
I
only
even
we
just,
just listened to our gut a little bit more from the get-go.
yeah, it's like, you know, just a little bit. So I started even discovering that, you know, we have indicative emotions and reactive emotions. Our indicating emotions provide the knowledge. Reactive emotions, this is too late. We already like late, the party started and we are either screaming, shouting, crying, upset, something is happening. While indicating emotions, we're like, something is wrong, pay attention. And also what I've noticed that our body reacts first and mind lags around 2-3 days. So that means your body already has a signal and information for you for 3 days. But at the best, you will receive that like 2-3 days later. And majority of the time, as much as I've spoken with people, it take even weeks, or when they are heavily ill. You know, it's like all of the diseases that we're experiencing right now, around 90%, as much as I'm seeing, are not even medical. They are come from mental. You know, you ate what you shouldn't eat. You've been in situations you shouldn't be in. You should have left the job. But it takes us to the heavy illness to literally take action. So what about we cut the whole situation out? And once your body gives you a signal and you're just like, right, okay, I'm hearing you out. What do we do then? Because like I was on a constant burnout myself. It's like, you know, go, 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 month ill, go, 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 month ill. It was like horrendous, because at some point I even used to lose my voice for 2 weeks, and I'm just like typing everyone. It's like, shit.
Finding the way around it anyway, but everything but pause and actually rest.
Yeah. And like, why am I getting so hard like at this point? No, I will just keep going. And it was quite interesting when I started developing this with people and situations, because, for example, when I started developing, I was getting fired. So you know how they create the mood when you come in, it's a little bit dark, and they're like, well, we have some sad news. And I'm sitting there and I'm instantly indicating what I'm feeling. And I'm just like, right, okay, I understand why it's happening. And once you acknowledge those emotions, your body's like, right, okay, you're paying attention. They calm down. So they know you are now in lead. So you're making the decisions, calling the shots. So your body's job is now just to provide information instead of making you panic. It's like, we don't know what's happening. We're surviving now because you're not doing anything. So we're just gonna fuck it, go crazy. Because if you ask people when they're being fired or they dumped or whatever, they go into a panic. So I'm sitting there cool as a cucumber, and they're like, well, you know, we will need to let you go. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. And they're like, right, okay. I'm like, what am I getting? What money am I getting? And they're like,
Why you're not upset?
yeah, it's like, why you're not confused? Why you're not like shaken or whatever? And I negotiated more money for myself. Then I started noticing when I'm going into negotiations, when people try to manipulate you, I'm like acknowledging this, right? Go down, and I manipulate them back, and it's like getting what I want. It's like, it was so insane because, for example, I managed to negotiate way more money. I moved people away that were not good for me. And then nice people started coming into my life. And it went even beyond that. I started picking the foods that agree with me. So I go into the shop, I pick the fruit or smell it, and my body instantly tells me, eat it or don't eat it. And that can change. So every time I go to the shop, I decide by the way my body wants it. And yes, I do crave McDonald's. And if I don't give McDonald's to my body at some point, it rebels. I don't know what the hell it wants from McDonald's. I don't question it. It works. So it was so crazy, even with the drinks. So for example, I drink one type of champagne if I want to, and my body's fine with it. But if I drink another one, my body instantly indicates it's not happy. So the whole method is to show us again what power lies within us, because we've been so much blocked away with the doctors, medicine, pills, even apps, that it's getting a little bit crazy at this point. Like, I've seen advertisement in UK called Zoe. You put something here for yourself and then you eat it, and the app scans all of your data. Why? Our body can literally provide all of that to us. We don't need any apps. We don't need to stab ourselves with the thing. I don't know what the hell the thing does. And then someone collects the data, because I'm quite private with these things. It's like, I don't want someone stabbing me in the first place. So I'm just like, I was sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, people come learn body
That's
map.
another thing that takes our agency away and our power away from realizing that we actually have everything that we need. We just need to learn to listen.
And it can guide you, because, for example, as much as I've been ill, I go to the doctors and I instantly say, the problem is there. Like, well, we need to do tests. I'm like, fuck it, do your test. But I'm telling you, the issue is there. And I've always been right. And they're like, how did you know? Let's not get into that, because you're going to call me crazy, because you've been to typical medical school. But it's like, it's not writing off the medicine at this point, but it's just like, I know where the issue is. I just don't know how to fix it, because, you know, we sometimes need a surgery or whatever. But how do we deal with that? And now body map is coming even into the cancer stage, how to support people in the cancer stage, how they can use the method to modify their healing or progress or whatever they need to do based on their body instead of what doctors say. Because I already applied the body map method on people who had cancer, and they modified, they've been miserable with advices that medical people gave them. They modified based on their body and belief system, and they recovered twice fast. So it's like, it's a massive, well, for me, it's a massive discovery that can be used into so many areas, but it's like coming back to yourself, like who you are, what does your body want, and how do you make a dream team with yourself? Because I think it's the most powerful thing we can do, be dream team with ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And it's not about eliminating medicine completely and saying that, you know,
Exactly.
none of this is needed. It's more about, even in my ACL recovery, when I had my knee surgery and I only went to physios and the surgeon wasn't communicating with physio and I was already in pain. I was healing my trauma then as well at the same time, which no one knew. And I was just like, you know, it was just chaos. But no one was really, you know, then I went to see like
Yeah.
a acupuncture lady and she was like, you need to calm down, your body can heal itself, just stop doing whatever you're doing, you've just been putting more trauma into your body. And then we had this conversation about like, you know, why don't you guys work together? Like you
Yeah.
have this wisdom, they have this, instead of being like, oh no, because it's kind of very exclusive right now, right? The Western medicine or anything that you can do yourself, it's clashing instead of being together. And it's like, I will figure out what it is, you just give me exactly, you know, like it's more fluid, it's more efficient, I would say as well. So I love that you're doing work around this and you do research as well, and you work with even with cancer patients. That's amazing. Like we hear all those and we still call those cases miracles if someone heals themselves with the power of the mind, instead of being like, it's not a miracle, it's because your body tells you where to go and what to do. Why we keep calling it miracles? Like very exclusive, it can only happen to one person in a million or something. So then you're not even gonna go and try it for yourself, right? Instead of being, you know,
it's like, it's basics. It's like literally basics. And this is what, like, because as much as I've used for so many things, because I've been diagnosed with like inheritance issues, etc. And I'm like, I healed all of them. Like, I don't have any inherited issues from my parents in regards of health. Like, I written them off and I helped my whole
that you've been
family
told
to
that you
heal.
do earlier on.
Yeah, so I had like, for example, reflux. And I'm like, oh my God. And they said, yeah, you inherited most likely from your father. It's like, fucking great. What do I do now? Well, you're going to be your whole life on the pills. And then around 19, oh, the pills don't work anymore. What do I do then? Here's stronger pills. After a few years, oh, those pills don't work anymore. It's like, what do I do then? Oh, we can do stomach surgery, but that might work, maybe not. And I'm like, great, I'm 20 something. And you want to cut me open now because pills don't work. That sounds like a success, doesn't it? So at that point, I was starting to find my recipes, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to rush with the surgery. And once I trained in RTT, I healed my reflux myself, and then I healed for the rest of my family. And I'm like, fuck this shit. This is not inherited.
Which was your body telling you, don't go there, right? It was literally your body being like, maybe same thing happened with me when I torn my ACL and had the surgery. Well, I did have the surgery, but afterwards I was like, oh, go there and do like, you know, figure out the past and everything. So it was like an intuition. It was like my body, because obviously the knee surgery, in my opinion, with hindsight now, it came because I wasn't listening to my body. So I had to do something drastic for me to start listening. And sadly, a lot of us need to wait for this massive big thing to be like, okay, I'm listening now. Because we cannot just be, you know, tune ourselves to subtle messages that our body really gives us every day. But so how can we start listening to our bodies? Is there like a formula, or is it just being like, you know, for those that don't really have it as a practice or never listen to their body or don't trust their intuition, where can they start?
So, well, I now teach in my retreat. So if anyone's interested, please come to my retreat, because we do full blown, like how to go into it, how to feel it. But let's say if you can't come to the retreat, or, you know, I'm planning to bring this to teach somehow online, but it's like work in progress. I would say calming the nervous system down, stop scrolling, stop watching TV, have a moment in the day where you sit and look into the wall. So many people have struggled to sit and look into the wall because it makes mind bored, because we're so addicted now, scrolling,
Yes.
overload. And that prevents of understanding the body, but you can literally sit and feel, because you will notice tense muscles, maybe a little bit of pain somewhere. Maybe there is something that, you know, not comfortable. And look into that. What do you do? Because, for example, my mom is not super duper great on listening onto her body, but she started getting knee problem. Like, it started hurting. She came to Spain and it was hilarious. It was hurting. She drinks orange wine. It stops hurting. And my mom was like, I don't understand. Like, how come it starts stopping? Do I need to drink more? Like, no, let's not go to that road at this point.
Definitely something I used to do, tell myself. So I need to drink more to make my problems go away. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, so she's like, maybe a glass of orange wine, like, but like specifically orange wine. And I'm like, no. And I said to her, I don't feel this is medical issue, but just go and check it, do a scan to make sure that the muscles and joints are healthy. She done it, everything's fine. And then she discovered, like I said, I think you're experiencing a lot of guilt lately, aren't you? Because we were talking, there were some things happening. And she's like, yeah. And the knee literally started hurting more while we were talking. And she's like, I think that's it. So I would say look into situations that are happening right now in your life. And if you're experiencing more pain, that means you're hitting the point. If you're feeling incredibly tired, of course, rest, because I think people write off naps because they're a bullshit of like, get up 5 a.m. if you want to be successful. No, get up 5 a.m. if you want to be dead soon. Like, pick you choose. I
And
know it's
burn
like,
out, yeah.
yeah, some people are happily can do that. You put me on 5 a.m., I'm going to murder half of the village at this point because I'm not good with waking up early. So it's like, understand how you feel the best. And if you're from 9 to 5 job, and let's say that doesn't work for you, because I think this is the main trigger for people, look how you can monitor and navigate the situation out. Either you change the job, or, you know, you maybe can get more working from home, and then see where do you lack of support within yourself. Because majority of the people are going to be like, I have a pain there, something. Where does the pain come from? Like, if I wear my backpack for a long time, I start to get pain here. Is it massive? No, it's not, but I know exactly where it comes from. Well, if I wouldn't pay attention, I would think, oh my God, maybe I have a tense back, maybe muscles, maybe I need some treatment, maybe I'm having back issues right now. Oh, maybe it's age. No, it's just literally I was wearing heavy backpack. That's all there is. So I need to rest now. So it's just paying those small attentions to ourselves and what's happening. You know, it's like what the situation was and how the situation made you feel, because the feeling is going to come into the body. And if someone is being nasty to you, diminishing you, you're going to have pain somewhere, 100%.
Yeah, I'd say like think outside of the box, because we told that, you know, if we went to a physio or we went to the doctor and they don't know how to help us, then that's just what it is. And so many times we just like, oh, well, this is my shoulder or my knee or my back is just how it was for that many years. So it has to stay that way forever, which is like absolutely not true. Like, why would we just accept it just because someone technically who is the professional in the field doesn't know how to help us? Doesn't mean that there's no other ways. Like, sadly, Western medicine doesn't ask us how we feel, what's the background of our emotional life, you know, and all those things matter. All those things, the emotional life does affect our physical body. So just to be open-minded, I think, is very important, and curious about where is this pain coming from, like you said, because there's usually a reason, that there's always a core wound. There's always it comes from somewhere. It doesn't just appear for no reason, right? So
exactly. And it's the same with the addictions, because I was speaking with the lady who can't stop smoking, and She's so agitated, and she's like, she's grabbing a wine, she's grabbing a cigarette, and she asked me, it's like, can I change? Because, as much as I remember, I've been all my life like this. And I said simply, we are not born agitated. We are born calm, relaxed, and chilled. Something happened that you became this way. She's like, yeah, but I've done hypnotherapy and it kind of works. And I listen to the meditation and it works, but then I come back again. And I said, because possibly you haven't worked on the root cause. You worked on something else that was like consequence. And I said, you can meditate the shit out of yourself. If you don't handle the root cause, you will be this way. It's your choice how far you're going to let this go, because like eventually she's going to be in the hospital. Like the body at some point is going to start shutting down, because we all have the self-destruction mechanism. You keep pushing it. It's like, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to turn it on. And I think cancer is one of the self-destruction clocks that, right, it's your choice now. You either live or you die. You pick. Like we had enough, like body had enough at that point. You choose now. And yeah, the people will choose one or the other. But there is also with autoimmune diseases, how many of autoimmune diseases we have that doctors don't know how the hell to handle. I had one lady who couldn't even walk anymore because they had so much pain. We had RTT session. After a month, she came back to work. For a whole year, doctors couldn't help her. It's like we have so much in our mind and in our body that understanding these things is crucial at this point, because our lives start to depend on it. It's not just like how comfortably you live. Well, at some point, it's going to be like, do you live or you die?
Well, yeah, and that's what I think we all try to prevent and spread this message that please do not wait until the last moment where it's going to be super clear that there's no other way, because you can make this decision, even with just like today you can decide that, maybe there's something that you don't like about your life, that you would prefer, you want it to be different, whatever it is, we all here to improve our lives, to unlock our potential, to have some sort of to have fun as well, not just settle for whatever we've been given and just accept because that's what it was. And we just don't see our the way out of it. That was a very, very insightful conversation. So before we wrap up, can you tell me what's your mission? So do you if you have a mission with your business and with everything that you do?
Yeah, so I do have a mission. So clearly a lot of my mission connects with the abuse and helping people to leave abuse safely and recover. But at the same time, I am teaching other practitioners how to support abuse victims as best as possible, including active abuse and post-abuse, because it's a massive issue right now in the therapy world, which practitioners don't know how to deal with that. So I want to bring that awareness, so every person who experienced abuse or is still in abuse can find trustworthy and effective support for them. And also at the same time, teaching people to connect back with their bodies, understand yourself, meet yourself, and become dream team with yourself. And it's a mind-blowing experience what power comes out within you, the confidence that we want, the self-trust that we want, the stability, the groundness. It's like all within us. But as long as we know ourselves, this stays. It's like, explore your darkness, people, explore your body. It's going to be fun and nice. It's a little bit nasty, but nice. So yeah, this is my mission, to bring that awareness that as much as we can take from ourselves, we take it. And our intelligence just skyrockets in that place.
Amazing, beautiful. Tell me a little bit about your retreat. I know you. It's still a few months away, so why don't you tell us? Maybe some of our viewers would like to join you.
Ooh. So my retreat is in November, beginning of November, in Tarifa, Spain. So everybody come. It's a beautiful place. It's where Mediterranean Sea meets Atlantic Ocean. Very powerful. And it's 8 days retreat with no device. So that means you will be able to contact your family, but apart from that, no device, no pictures, no nothing. So you fully emerge discovering yourself. You're understanding what your body map is, how to use it, and you leave the retreat with full arsenal of things and tools knowing how to do it. There are a few experiences that are secret, which is experience. You come in and you figure it out what it's going to be. But apart from that, the whole 8 days, it's more focused on your body and how to keep yourself. Because we all experience storms in our lives. And what do? We modify it based on the storm. Know how to stand the storm and hold yourself, and you say, fuck it. This is who I am, and I'm not going to modify myself for anyone else because you have an issue with it. Because I do believe a lot of victim mentality people scream, and that forces other people, especially in public eye, to start modifying themselves quickly to satisfy someone's needs.
Yes.
No, if the person hurts, they need to handle their own needs. It's their responsibility. It's not our responsibility. But then how do we stay true to ourselves? Because it triggers a bunch of uncomfortable emotions. So I also teach a session on how to stay yourself when the storm hits you. So it's like very nice, very fun, cool.
So that's, I would say it's not just for abusive.
No, it's for everyone.
It's for anyone that just wants to have more agency of their bodies, know themselves better, have some arsenal of tools, which is always amazing to have, how to handle your own triggers. Because yeah, that's a very important message right there as well, to be responsible for your own reactions and for your own triggers. You are not responsible for anyone else's, but you are responsible for your own. And that's the only really main focus that you should have. And then that has a ripple effect on everything else. So where do you have maybe last message for anyone that is listening to this beautiful conversation full of so much wisdom, for them to walk away with maybe one wisdom nugget? What's the advice or a last message that you want to give our audience?
I would say discover what makes you happy from small things. Because for me, it's sitting in the sun and eating ice cream. And I try to do as much as I can this small ritual for myself. And I've noticed how it makes my body and myself happy. Even it sounds silly if it sounds small, but that is a key thing that my body understands. You truly take care of me, because, you know, I can easily skip ice cream. I can easily skip sitting a moment in the sun. Just like I have more to do. But these moments acknowledge myself and me to be happy and to be here in the moment. So I would say find your small things, what makes you happy, and just do them. Schedule to do them. It doesn't need to be anything expensive, anything fancy. Whatever brings you joy for a second, and just do it as much as you can during the week. Even schedule specific times and notice how that changes your body and communication, collaboration with your body. And it's going to be the key thing. Now, if you are in abuse and abusive experience, you will notice your body enormously changing. But then again, once you receive triggers and everything, you will see how your body shifts. So then it's your sign, leave now, live a good life. You deserve happiness.
Ah, beautiful. Well, we'll end right there. Thank you so much, Salvija. This was an amazing conversation. I'm pretty sure I might invite you at some other time as well to discuss some of these things further, because this is obviously a massive topic. But thank you so much for your time today. Until next time.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.